Contact us to avail the combo offer of General Studies and Public Administration optional with 20% discount.
Good morning everyone. Today we are going to have the Hindu analysis of 24th August 2021. Okay, let us see which are the important articles from today's The Hindu newspaper. Yes, these are the important developments. What we'll do is first of all take overview of all these articles, then we'll discuss them one by one. First article on page number 6, editorial page. It is talking about the economic cost of cyclone disaster and its management. Okay, so very good article from disaster management perspective, GS3 paper as well as GS1 paper geography part. Okay, but largely it is relating to disaster management, cyclone management. Recently there were two cyclones before monsoon time, both on western as well as eastern coast of India, and we are expecting such question in GS3 paper from cyclone as a disaster and disaster management aspect. So in one article itself all important data and facts analysis is also given along with way forward. Okay, so we'll discuss that from GS3 paper, disaster management. Staying invested in Afghanistan, another editorial on page number 6. It is talking about recently the Prime Minister has taken decision to ask Ministry of External Affairs to brief the government decisions and the actions that are being taken regarding Afghanistan to all parties, okay, political parties. So yes, this is good decision, and now all political parties are made aware, the people are made aware about what government is doing with respect to Afghanistan developments that are happening. Along with that, some aspects are discussed in the article. In the second part, we have to have the follow-up on Afghanistan developments that are happening and how India needs to protect its interest in Afghanistan. Okay, so GS2 paper, international relations, this is important. Then Army's new bid in Kashmir to wean youth of militancy. On page number 10, this is one of the small initiative of Army. There was one feature film, black and white, let's say animation film was released here by Army regarding how Army had rescued some of the, let's say, boys earlier, especially those youth were getting inducted into the militancy. Okay, so how they were rescued by the Army and how they are now living a peaceful civilian family life. Okay, so this is a good development. How border management, there was one question this year mains examination GS3 paper. So this is important, how the support, local support can be cut off to militancy. Local support can be cut off to militancy. Such measures were asked in this year mains examination. So this is one of the initiative, we can say civilian initiative of military in the border areas. So this is from that aspect you can take as a one of the point in writing to that answer to that question. GS3 paper, security and border management part. Then protest cannot hinder traffic, says Supreme Court. It is talking about the protest, farmer protests that are going on in Delhi surrounding region, border regions. Okay, so it is affecting the commute or the traffic between Noida and Delhi region. So it is impacting the common people, and therefore there was one plea by one of the women. So she was contending here that it is impacting her life, personal life. So at the same time, similarly, it is also impacting other people. So Supreme Court has said that protest cannot hinder traffic. Okay, so yes, in further hearing there may be some important ruling regarding this by the Supreme Court. We will have follow up on GS2 paper, polity and governance aspect. Specifically prelims related development, Finance Minister unveils rupees 6 lakh crore asset management plan. From economy perspective it is important. Asset management plan, what is this asset management? How some of the brownfield investment and infrastructure is going to be through public private partnership is going to be leased, and private investment is going to be there in the public infrastructure. So we are monetizing the public infrastructure for some period of time, and later on we can say that the property or the infrastructure can be returned to the government here. So we'll understand what is this asset management plan, monetization plan here, not management. Okay, now US grants Pfizer vaccine full approval. Okay, so this has become the first such vaccine to get the full approval. Up till now, emergency use approvals were given to Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson company vaccines. Now Pfizer vaccine has got full approval from US regulatory authority. Along with that, there was one article on Northeast page number 4 or 5. Okay, so it is talking about Chakmas and Hajongs. Okay, so these refugees who came from Bangladesh and they were settled in Arunachal Pradesh. So there is one small article regarding their rehabilitation in Assam. Okay, the proposed rehabilitation in Assam and how their leaders are resisting this. Okay, so which are these communities, Chakmas and Hajongs? We'll have a brief information about that. Though it is not included here, we'll discuss that. Finally, some practice prelims MCQs on present today's current affairs. First article now, let us go in detail. Totai, Yas and planning for the next. This is the name of the article of that on page number 6. It is talking about the cyclone disaster management. Cyclone disaster management. So this is important from GS3 paper, disaster management part. So why we need to study this aspect? Because this year, two severe cyclones, Cyclone Totai and Cyclone Yas, had hit both coast. Yes, Cyclone Totai first in May month, Gujarat coast, landfall, Gujarat coast. It travelled parallel to the western coast and then had landfall on Gujarat coast. And the same month later, 1 or 2 weeks later, so Cyclone Yas was developed in Bay of Bengal and had hit the coast of Odisha and West Bengal. Now, some facts you need to be aware here to write in your answers in terms of their impact. Okay, so if we are talking about impact, 199 people died. Okay, so many people evacuated, around you can say here 0.4 million people evacuated. Then loss of agriculture. Okay, agriculture fields were impacted. Then we can say that infrastructure damage and houses were damaged. This is how the impact we need to evaluate here. Okay, in terms of infrastructure, roads, power lines, these infrastructure, they were damaged. There were many trees uprooted. Okay, all these you can include in impact. Now, after understanding the recent context, frequency of cyclones increased in recent times. Some data you need to be aware about that also. Okay, so in general you should be aware 7,500 kilometer coastline that we have, total coastline. In general, 5 to 7 cyclones originate in Indian Ocean, both together, Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea. On an average, the ratio here, if we are talking about 5 cyclones originate, 4:1 is the normal ratio. 4 cyclones originate in Bay of Bengal, 1 in Arabian Sea. This is the proportion here. More cyclones in Bay of Bengal as compared to Arabian Sea. Now, among these 5 to 7, 2 to 3 becomes severe cyclones. Okay, the possibility of 2 to 3 becoming severe cyclones. If we are talking about the number of cyclones that had hit the more vulnerable we can say the eastern coast or eastern states, which are these: Odisha coast, Andhra Pradesh, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, and then we can say that on the eastern side we have Maharashtra, Gujarat, Karnataka, and then Kerala. Vulnerability is like this. Okay, now after understanding this about the number of cyclones and how they are vulnerable, around 100 such districts in these states are vulnerable to the cyclones, and around 250 million people are exposed to these cyclones and tsunami waves along the coastal areas. Now, economic cost of cyclone disaster and management. Some facts regarding economic cost also given in this article. We want to include this. You should be aware about this economic cost also. Let me list that economic cost here. For example, this is the second frequent natural disaster in India after floods. At the same time, the impact is second largest after floods. Okay, floods in India is the having highest level of, we can say, disaster impact in India. At the same time, if we are talking about the most lethal disaster in India after earthquake and floods, cyclone is that kind of. Now, specifically talking about the economics here, in one of the report, Asian Development Bank report 2014. In this report, Asian Development Bank has said that around 1.8% of GDP by 2050 in India will be lost to disasters or extreme weather events. Disasters or extreme weather events. First fact. Second fact, you should be aware, a recent fact regarding the climate resilience index. Okay, exactly, let me tell you the wording here. Yes, sorry, Global Climate Risk Index report. Global Climate Risk Index report 2021. Okay, according to this, India is 7th most vulnerable country for natural disaster. 7th such most vulnerable country in natural disaster. In 2019, such more number of, we can say, disasters were hit in India, and this is going to be increased in future because of climate change, global warming that is happening. Surely there will be more and more increase in number of such cyclones. Okay, we are talking about how India has become more vulnerable for cyclone, more and more cyclones because of increase in the climate change and global warming. Okay, further, now after understanding these facts, what are the measures that have been undertaken in Odisha? As we know that Odisha has been, let's say, facing many such cyclones almost every year. So after the super cyclone of 1999, remember this, very important because around 10,000 people lost life there. Odisha government has taken many such measures, and last year in 2020 it has been able to reduce the number of deaths to less than 100 now. What are these measures undertaken by Odisha government? So first and foremost is that it has established, we can say, cyclone warning centers along the coastal areas. Cyclone warning centers along the coastal areas. Second thing, evacuation shelter homes, where the people are evacuated temporarily and provided relief material for 1 or 2 days, 3 days for the temporary period. This is also very important because millions of people are evacuated and they are hosted here in these temporary shelter homes. Third thing, establishment of Odisha State Disaster Management Authority. Okay, State Disaster Management Authority and Odisha Disaster Rapid Action Force, ODRAF. Okay, so these are the important measures taken by Odisha government, and expeditiously we can say that the Odisha government has focused here on the evacuation process, rehabilitation, relief process, and the most important helpful thing that happened here is cyclone warning centers. Okay, so in this manner Odisha has tackled this cyclone management. However, it has not been able to reduce the impact on the infrastructure. Though we are able to reduce the number of deaths because of this natural disaster, but we are yet not able to reduce the impact on the infrastructure, impact on the land, coastal lands. So how do we do that? What more needs to be done? Again, we can say that the focus should be, again, first thing, increase in forecasting predictability. We can say that instead of accuracy, and we can say cyclone warning system, it can be further made accurate. Second, we can also further strengthen disaster management system. What comes in disaster management here? You can talk about rescue, relief, rehabilitation, and yes, so you can talk about these three after disaster, and before that you can talk about disaster preparedness. Okay, so this needs to be strengthened, we can say. Then you can talk about especially infrastructure. Okay, so the power lines needs to be strengthened here. What happens in the cyclone disaster? Let me tell you, whenever the cyclone makes landfall, because of the wind speed, what happens is there is uprooting of all these power poles, power lines and telecom towers, and because of that the communication and electricity cut off. The major hurdle in the cyclone management, major hurdle in the relief process, and we can say evacuation process. This is major thing, and that's why the power lines needs to be protected. So such infrastructure needs to be strengthened here. So new kind of technology can be implemented, or underground power lines can be there. Okay, so all these aspects focus. Then we can also talk about storm surge resilient embankments Okay, so whatever the embankments that are built along the coastal areas, also along the, let's say, mouths of the river, so whenever there is a storm surge because of cyclones, this enters this cyclone waters, or we can say that the sea water enters into land area. We need to protect the coastal lands from such kind of intrusion of salt water, into the, we can say that, fresh water reservoirs. At the same time, the flooding situation may exist, and therefore the embankment, whatever the embankments we are building there, they should be strong enough. Okay, and finally the coordination between efforts between center and state. Okay, so whenever there is such kind of, let's say, cyclone is there, the coordination is very important, and we have seen the lack of coordination between center and West Bengal state during cyclone years, right? So that should not be there. So focus should be on more and more appropriate coordination or institutional coordination, also in terms of disaster management and the finance that is required. Okay, so for finance purpose also this is very important, right? So yes, way forward you can write down like this. What kind of question we can expect here? India is vulnerable to tropical cyclones and global warming has increased this vulnerability. In the light of this statement, examine the vulnerability of Indian coast to tropical cyclones. Suggest effective measures to reduce the impact of cyclones. Okay, so in this manner, first of all, you can discuss some data facts, show that how Indian coast is vulnerable to tropical cyclone, and then you can talk about measures here. Any question?
So before this cyclone, 1977, one of the major cyclone has been occurred on Andhra Pradesh. When you compare this one, that is a very more has been the impact of human life, and more than 2,000 people has been died, and most of the crops has been fully under the cover of water, salt water. Maybe can we take as the example this one also?
Yes, you can take that example also. Largely Odisha and then Andhra Pradesh, they have been facing all these tropical cyclones almost every year. Okay, so you can give those examples, any of those examples. Fine? Yes. Now, the second article on page number 6, it is talking about protecting staying invested. It is talking about Ministry of External Affairs to brief all parliamentary parties on government's action in Afghanistan. So this is the recent decision taken by the Prime Minister. This is good development. Now we need to understand, first of all, what are the developments that are going on, what government of India is doing at present to protect its interest. Government occupied with the challenging evacuation of Indian national. At present, the focus is on evacuation. Okay. So here Indians as well as minorities, Hindu and Sikh minorities in Afghanistan, those people who want to come in India, take refuge in India, they are being given some visas. So they are evacuated from those from the Afghanistan. Now there is a major hurdle in that evacuation. Why? Because the government had already evacuated entire embassy staff and security personnel already, or we can say it has made difficult because of this to evacuate Indians and other people who want to take refuge in India. Okay, so if our embassy people were there in Afghanistan, they could have expedited this process of providing visas there. Okay, so this is the major hurdle. Now, the writer in this article, it is saying that different situation at present compared to evacuation during 1990s. So, when Taliban gained power during 1990s, there was also evacuation done by India, but the nature of evacuation is different. First thing, the number of Indians were less in Afghanistan at that time. Second thing, you should understand that the interest of India in Afghanistan were not deep rooted at that time. Why? Because in last 20 years we have invested economically and strategically in Afghanistan. So whatever the civilian investment or economic investment of India in Afghanistan, so this has increased significantly in last 20 years. So we need to protect it, otherwise it is wastage of resources and government money, public money. Okay, so we need to protect this. This is how the change in the approach or the situation is there. Now, after understanding this, the way forward is provided in the second part. The explanation from the government about its plan to approach the new regime in Afghanistan once it is formed. This is very important, because we have been very much hesitant in having open dialogue with Taliban up till now. But how will we will be approaching with the Taliban leaders once the interim government is formed? This is the plan should be already in place, that should be communicated to the people and all political parties. First thing. Second, it should also explain how it will approach the Afghan people. First thing, we have to understand that there should not be selective approach in providing refuge. So at present, though the government is providing the refuge or visas to the Hindu minorities and Sikh minorities in Afghanistan, it also needs to provide the refuge to the Muslim minorities also in Afghanistan, like Hazaras. Okay, they are being persecuted. Many other people, women, they are being persecuted. They are facing human rights violation. So how India is going to approach the Afghanistan people? Where there will there be a selective approach, or there will be some kind of objective criteria decided? Now, finally, a more open and liberal visa policy is required. At the same time, more swift processing of newly launched special e-emergency and miscellaneous visas. Okay, e-emergency and miscellaneous visas. So there is need of expediting this process of providing these visas to Afghanistan people, right? So this is how the way forward we can write down here. This is actually the continuous developments that are going on. You need not to be, let's say, what you can say, analyzing this development. Rather, you should be aware about this development. At the same time, always keep in mind that whenever we are dealing with the Afghanistan issue here, how India needs to protect India's interest in Afghanistan. Second aspect, how India needs to protect the rights of the people of Afghanistan. Okay, so in this manner you should understand. And third, of course, the geostrategic angle, we have to also understand that as a long-term interest in Afghanistan. Fine? Any question? Yes. Next. Yes, tell me.
Sir, Indian were having the rights to take over the in charge of the Afghanistan, to ruling of any in charge to another country, to ruling of a better democracy values on that Afghanistan. USA has that much of power.
No, US does not have that power.
US are UN also.
UN,
UNO.
United Nations. Okay. No, see, United Nation, though we can understand that it is international body, it can only persuade the people, it can only persuade the Afghanistan leaders whenever the interim government is formed. Okay, it can insist to protect the life of the people and human rights of the people. Okay, but whenever in future suppose the civil war erupts and the people are dying, surely the action may be taken by the United Nations Security Council. But again, there are vested interest. United Nations Security Council works on the consensus basis, and 5 members, permanent members, there China and Russia is there, and they have different kind of interest in Afghanistan as compared to other 3. Okay, so there will be conflict. So there will not be, let's say, the consensus based United Nations action in future if suppose against the Taliban, suppose Taliban resort to violence in against the people of Afghanistan, right? Yes. Next article, Army's new bid in Kashmir to win youth of militancy. Now this is also good development from internal security and border management perspective. So Army used a rare tool to win off local youth from militancy, screening a grim black and white animation film of 2 minutes and 13 seconds named Back from the Jaws of Death on 23 boys who were rescued from joining militants in North Kashmir's Bandipora in 1998. Okay, so now these people are happily living their civilian life, they are married, they are having children. So this is how they can give the model example before the youth. Okay, this is how the youth can be restricted from joining the militancy. We are cutting off the support from locals here in Jammu and Kashmir to militancy. Okay, and you can see the kind of question that was asked by UPSC this year. For effective border area management, discuss the steps required to be taken to deny local support to militants and also suggest ways to manage favorable perception among the locals. There are 2 aspects of this question. In first aspect, you can write this as one of the step here, right? So the civilian aspect of military here, because what happens is always there is some kind of negative image created of military or security personnel in front of civilians in Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, so that perception needs to be changed. That perception can be changed when such civilian initiatives are taken. Okay, so soft initiatives are required to change that perception, right? Along with that, many other measures you can write in this answer. For example, in addition to this aspect, when we are talking about cutting off local support, the youth needs to be engaged in the skill development, employment generation program should be there. At the same time, the perception generation, important aspect, the civil administration, local administration should focus on development aspect. The infrastructure should be developed and there is need of economic growth and development in the region, and then we can say that the perception is favorable to the government. This is how the cutoff to the militancy can be there from the locals. The important aspect here is that the views of local people needs to be considered. What happens here is directly the central government or we can say imposition of the view of central government is on the people. So self-rule, self-governance should be promoted, right? Yes. Any question?
Sir, regarding central government are going to be ready to implement very well on that Jammu and Kashmir, but the local politics are going to be manipulating the local people mindset. We are the separate from the territory of India. They are going to be imposing the bad thoughts to the local people. Then how we can able to control the local politics of the people? Sir?
Yes. that is fine. Okay, so local people are leaders of local people. Okay, local leaders are leaders of the people. They have been elected by local people. They know the local conditions, what local people want. First thing. Second thing is that local leaders does not want to separate Jammu and Kashmir from India. This is wrong perception. Okay, separatist leaders are other people. But actually those who are elected by the people of Jammu and Kashmir, they are not separatist. Okay, they want the self-governments, they want some kind of autonomy there for the rule. Okay, now as the reorganization has happened, so there may be different kind of government in the Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, the Jammu and Kashmir assembly will be there, surely. There will be some kind of coordination between central and state government there, or union territory government there. Okay, but the government, though it has reorganized, in future we may expect the devolution of powers and decentralization, but in slow manner. Okay, when there is reduction in militancy and law and order situation is established, so in future we can expect that. Okay, yes. Now, protest cannot hinder traffic, says Supreme Court in one of the ruling, in one of the plea by the women. So she is actually saying that she is commuting from Noida to Delhi on daily basis for the job purpose. She is having one son, and because of that, because of farmers' protest, the commute time has increased from 20 minutes to 2 hours, and she is contending here that it is affecting her life. Okay, so this, in the similar manner, surely the other people may be getting affected because of this traffic that is created because of the farmers' protest, and that's why Supreme Court has said that the farmers have right to protest, but the agitation should not hinder traffic or public movement. The similar kind of view was taken by the Supreme Court last year when there was Shaheen Bagh protests were going on in Delhi. It also affected the movement of the people and traffic in that region. So it asked the government to dedicatedly provide one particular site for the protest to these people. Okay, so there is need of balancing the right to protest with the right to movement. Okay, so right to protest is the peaceful protest is part of freedom of speech and expression, again in Article 19 itself. But freedom of movement is also part of Article 19, the freedom that is given in fundamental rights. Okay, so the balance is required. This is how Supreme Court is saying. Then, Finance Minister unveils 6 lakh crore asset monetization plan. What is asset monetization? Suppose there is one land and the infrastructure is built. Suppose there is airport and it is under Airport Authority of India, public sector or public infrastructure, and suppose it is not monetized, or we can say it is lying unused. Okay, it is lying unused, or appropriate amount of revenue is not being generated from that infrastructure. Then private sector can be asked to invest in that particular infrastructure and take benefits of that, at the same time share some revenue from with the government. Public private partnership is going to be there. This is called as asset monetization, but there will not be transfer of ownership or land there. Okay, after particular lease time period, the private sector is supposed to give back the all aspects of that land or ownership regarding that particular infrastructure. So under the plan, private firms can invest in projects for a fixed return using such, let's say, investment infrastructure trust route, as well as operate and develop the assets for certain period before transferring them back to the government agency. Through that, the government will generate the revenue. At the same time, it will further private investment in the infrastructure. The quality infrastructure will be created for long-term use. This is the plan here. Okay, so remember National Monetization Pipeline name here. As a part of, we can say, National Infrastructure Pipeline, National Monetization Pipeline is also written. To boost the economy here, especially infrastructure sector is having some kind of spillover effect over the different other sectors of economy. For that purpose this is being done. Okay.
Sir,
Yes.
what is this in VIQ?
Yes, these are actually investment infrastructure trust that are being created. Already they have been created. These trusts are basically, we can say, the funding mechanisms. These trusts are basically the funding mechanism dedicated for particular sector. Here we are talking about infrastructure sector. Okay, so through them there can be investment in infrastructure, and that investment can reap certain benefits. Okay, so it is similar to, we can say that whatever the financial institutions that are built, like suppose small financial institutions are there, right? Microfinance institutions are there, MFIs. In the same manner, for dedicated investment in certain sector of economy, here we are talking about the infrastructure. Such trusts were created for the infrastructure. Okay.
Sir,
Yes.
we have over the whatever the government properties and some of the infrastructure is going to be ready to sell to private sector in this route plan. It may future to affect the commanding and controlling of that properties. It may lead to threat to the government to administration level and the district and over the central level. From district to over the central level, it may affect to the administrative candidates.
No, it is not talking about selling. First thing, it is not selling or transferring ownership or land. We are just making a contract with private companies. Okay, and that contract specifically talks about, for this fixed period of time you invest in this infrastructure, take benefits, share those benefits with us also, and you will have also some kind of profit from that investment. Okay, so of course the private sector will invest whenever there is some kind of profit, right? And through that investment in future, after returning back that infrastructure, the government may continue taking benefits from that infrastructure. So basically,
when the private sector has been involved in any sector, they will show a good infrastructure as well as a large investment. For that purpose, they will take more than that one. They will not compromise their investment and profit. Then it will be able to bearable to the normal people, sir. It may affect to the financial department, financial balance to the normal civilians.
no. Try to understand, whenever the private investment has been there, largely there has been more efficiency, and we can say that more profit generation. PPP projects have been successful in the past also.
But most of the PPP sector has been under the nexus category compared to example highway.
It has been improved. It has been improved. In future, it is going to be more transparent. There had been problems. There had been delay in the execution of projects, PPP projects. Okay, but now we can say that further. But that delay was due to land acquisition problems and environment clearance also, one of the factor. Okay, but here the brownfield projects are there. Brownfield, that means already they are established, they are constructed. Okay, so there is no problem of acquisition or environment clearance, right? So this will be in a speedier manner now. So whatever the long term obstacles were there earlier in PPP projects, they are eliminated here. And the contracts will be more, we can say, transparent now in future, and surely the PPP projects will yield some kind of results for favorable for both public as well as private sector. Okay, yes. Next, US grants Pfizer vaccine full approval triggers new mandates. It is talking about full approval. Up till now only emergency approval was given to different vaccines. For the first time, the vaccine, Pfizer vaccine is given full approval by US regulatory authority. It will be sold now under the name, marketing brand name of Comirnaty. Okay, Comirnaty will be the name of the vaccine of Pfizer company, right? And this is a first such vaccine to get the full approval here. Now, why such full approval is given by US authority? Because US is facing some vaccine hesitancy from certain section of people, and such kind giving full approval, that means it will help instill more confidence in these vaccines by the people. People will come forward to take vaccine here. At present, 52% people proportion of the population of US has fully been vaccinated, but the remaining is not yet. Fine. Okay, so yes, what could be the question, answer to this question?
For option C, suppose 1 and 2 is the correct.
Option C. Option A. Yes. Yes. A is correct answer, not C. India's eastern coast is more vulnerable to tropical cyclones as compared to western coast. This is correct statement. We have to find the correct statement. So first one is correct. In 2021, cyclone Tauktae hit the eastern coast of India, while cyclone Yas hit the western. This is incorrect. We have exchanged this here. Cyclone Tauktae hit the western coast first, and cyclone Yas hit the eastern coast. I had mentioned here while explaining that. Okay, so you should be giving more attention here. A1 only is the correct answer. Okay, there was one more article about Chakmas and Hajongs. Let us talk about that also on northeastern page. Okay, so who are Chakmas and Hajongs? Basically, these are religious minorities from erstwhile East Pakistan, at present Bangladesh. Okay, so they were earlier living in Chittagong Hills of East Pakistan, but they came into India as refugee. They came into India as refugee because of two reasons. One is that Kaptai Dam, because of this dam and the reservoir built because of this dam, they were displaced from this region. Second is religious persecution. Religious persecution. So you should be aware about these reasons also. Chakmas are Buddhist people, Buddhist religious minority. Hajongs are Hindus. Okay, religious minority. Factual information is important. When they came into India from the present day Mizoram, they were relocated and rehabilitated by the government at that time in Northeastern Frontier Agency, the present day Arunachal Pradesh. Okay, their population was very less at that time, but now it has increased to around 1 lakh people. And present day people, 90% of them are now born in India, but they are not given citizenship at present. They are not Indian citizens, or citizenship is not given, but basic rights to them, basic, let's say, access to food and livelihood, that things are provided. There was a recent proposal to rehabilitate them with some kind of land in Assam, but now the leaders of these people, they are resisting that aspect. Okay, that's why it was in news. Fine. Okay, any question? Okay, let us stop. We will meet tomorrow at the same time. Thank you.
Contact us to avail the combo offer of General Studies and Public Administration optional with 20% discount.